We are starting. I want to laugh so bad. Good evening, podcast world, and those out there on Facebook Live. Time for another episode of Things My Mother Never Told Me. Say hey, Tanya.
Hey, hi, everybody. Thank you for joining in this evening with us.
Oh, here we are. You know, it's been a minute. We've been on vacation, but vacation's good for the soul, right?
Mm-hmm.
We got another special guest.
Yes, we
Reverend
do.
Vanessa Gulley. Hey.
Hey, how y'all doing?
We doing good. We doing good. So, as we was telling you earlier, we're gonna read your bio.
Okay.
And then
you're gonna read it all?
Excerpts of it.
All right, do it just a couple of excerpts.
Yeah, just a couple of excerpts. We don't want to read the whole thing. We ain't got that much time.
We don't.
Right. And then
that's what happens when you write too much.
Well, writing is good for the soul.
Mm-hmm.
I made that up.
I'll take it. Okay. I'm buying it.
Right. Yeah. So what we're going to do is read a few things, and then we'll ask you some questions, and we want you to tell your story the way you want to tell your story.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right. So, Tia.
All right, then here we go, everybody. Let's welcome Reverend Vanessa Gulley. She's an associate minister at New Prospect Missionary Baptist Church in Detroit, Michigan, under the leadership under the late Reverend Dr. Wilmer R. Johnson. She's a native Detroiter and a graduate of Michigan State University. She has continued to receive many evangelical and professional certifications. She's a certified trainer and a project management professional with expertise in governance and leadership development. Understanding the dynamics and the demands of leadership, she has been successful in assisting teams to improve their capacity for strategic oversight while inspiring confident leadership. She's a co-founder of Provision. Their team utilizes a robust mixture of best practices and industry knowledge to develop an operational framework that empowers board members through the use of their proprietary guided governance software. Thank you for all those words that I can.
all those words. All those words.
That was a mouthful.
Thank you.
And Vanessa lives, works, and I like this, and plays in Michigan.
I do indeed.
But has a desire to assist businesses and education communities, no matter their location. When she's not working, she enjoys spending time with her amazing family, reading and watching every food competition show where she can enjoy the art of cooking without having to actually touch a pot or a pan. I love it.
That's the most important part of the bio right there.
I said, oh, okay. Whatever.
Yeah, I don't want to touch them. I just want to look at people touch them.
Look, me and David do a lot of that too. We look at all the cake shows, all the dessert shows.
Yeah, but we cook though.
I listen. I didn't say I didn't cook. I know how to cook, Minister David. I do cook, and I know how to cook. I just rather watch the TV show.
I hear you on that one.
Right. That's what I took from that. So you wrote it well. That's what I took from it.
I love it.
All right. Before we really get started, we'll just say welcome.
All right, everybody. Let's welcome Reverend Vanessa Gulley.
There you go.
Thank you.
Minister Reverend May Alexander said hello.
Tell Reverend May I said hello. That's my birthday twin.
That's what she said.
I love her. I love her so much.
Yeah, she said much love. Okay, so let's jump right on in here.
Okay.
The most important question we're probably going to ask you today is, what high school did you go to?
Listen, you better ask me. I went to Cass Tech.
All right.
CT, green and white. I'm a Cass technician. Now tell me what a technician is, but that's where I went.
Somebody went to Cass? That's what it is.
That's what we are. That's right, green and white.
That's right. And we had to get that out the way. And
that's important.
And you went to some place called Michigan State. Okay, that's cool.
I had to go somewhere.
That's right. Might as well go there, green and white. Keep the color scheme.
They ain't offered degrees at Cass, I guess.
Listen,
They almost did.
All of us went to Michigan State. It was a whole bunch of us, so you might as well go somewhere.
That's right. Go somewhere.
Anyway,
They talking about really. They don't like that. They don't like what I just said. The people out there, they
don't like that
question
Cass Tech?
something. They really.
Right, I know.
One of my cousins. Yeah. Okay, so a couple things. Your title is what? Governance Leadership Development Consultant.
Yes.
That's a lot.
It is.
What did that mean?
It took so many years to craft that. I mean, I was like, I don't know what I do. It took a long time to come up with that. Okay. I actually support leadership teams, governing boards for schools, but also for corporations. Mm-hmm. So governance and leadership development, they go hand in hand. Yeah. So that is what I came up with my consulting and coaching. All right. It took a long time to get there.
See, boys and girls, if you get one of them their degrees, you can come up with fancy titles.
You listen. People ask you what you do, you got to come up with something. You got to get that elevator pitch.
That's right. That's right. And so you say you work with schools too, and so tell us what that entails.
Absolutely. So going into our 19th year in business, in 2005, someone called. My sister and I started a business. My business partner is actually my biological sister. Okay. Would not have it any other way. She's awesome. Started a business, and we originally intended to help small businesses, to help them to grow, and also to have all of the components that were necessary for running an effective business. Mm-hmm. Sent out a couple of feelers to people that we knew had businesses, and actually one of the young ladies that we sent information to, she had a mortgage company. Her husband actually called and said, hey, I just started with the school board, with a charter school. I have no idea what I'm doing. Is there any way you can come and support and just, kind of help us through it? We were baptized in fire. We've been doing that since 2005, since September of 2005. So that, as well as, other areas. But we actually work with the school boards. They have a lot of compassion and a lot of passion for students and for the area of education. Mm-hmm. But because they are volunteers and they have expertise in other areas, it's difficult for them to take those skills and migrate them to the work that they do as a governance leader. Okay. And that's where we come in coaching them, assisting them, and helping them to understand how to do what they've committed to doing in that role and in that place as a board member. So that's one area. So that's, what we do with schools. We also assist schools with strategic planning. So one of the things that has been difficult in times past is for people to create a strategic plan that actually lives and breathes with the organization. So we do that as well. And we have a system, if you will, that we work with, a methodology where not only the board is a part of it, but also the school, and they're able to walk hand in hand and actually walk out that strategic plan. So those are kind of like the highlights, if you will, of what we do with the schools.
Cool. That sounds like fun. And so this is why I said I'm gonna take both of your bios. Mm-hmm. Y'all, she sent me 6 bios, and I'm gonna.
Well, you asked for them. Listen. You asked for them.
He keeps saying that, doesn't he?
and so how does the marriage between your ministerial life blend in with your facilitating and training?
You know what? It does. And that's a great question. And what I usually tell people is that, I'm an entrepreneur as a career. I am a minister of the gospel as a calling. Okay. Both of them utilize the same gifting that God has given to me in terms of bringing new information to people and helping people to understand things. Mm-hmm. So that is the base of the gift. And I think that God just allowed me to use it in business as well as in ministry. But the career and the calling use the same gift. Mm-hmm. I think there's an opportunity. And of course, I don't go into my professional life, and I'm not necessarily, going John 3:16. Right. But I do make sure that the principles that they have, that they are communicated in such a way for those who have a desire to know more truth, that they can do that. One of the things that I giggle about is that if you Google my name, which a lot of people do, my ministry comes up first before the professional. So I like the fact that if people who are in the professional world, if they Google me, that's what they're going to see first. And I ask a question, right? And that ultimate question is, what must I do to be saved? But it takes a
minute. Right. That's right. Okay. So, because I'm a bunch, because I saw some stuff on here that I really didn't know. I'm gonna get this first. Then I'm gonna go back to this Girl Scout thing. Holding forth the word ministry. Did it say you served as a radio host and teacher?
I did. So in 2000, so my father in the ministry, Emery Moss Jr., Bible Answer Man. He's always on the radio.
Bible Answer.
And I filled in for him quite a bit.
Okay.
But then in 2016, I believe it was. Nope. I have to figure out the year. I'm getting old. But I actually did have a year-long podcast. It was called Making Disciples. And the goal is to go through all of the primary doctrines of the Bible, so that those people who were new believers, that they would be able to hear from cover to cover what those essential doctrines are for Christians. And then for those who are also maturing in Christ, that they could revisit them, and we would have a conversation for an hour and just talk about how they impact us as believers. So that was about a year that we did that. We went through the whole curriculum, and so I was indeed.
So that's something that we can go out there and I can look at today.
You know what? We talked about it. I'm guilty. So let me just tell you how bad I am with social media.
Okay.
I had a website. I don't think the website is up to date, but for you, my sister Tina, if you would like them, I have all of the recordings and I can give them to you on a.
Oh, okay.
Listen, but are they out there in the yonder? Listen, I don't know where they are. Holding Forth the Word Ministries is the ministry where we actually did that.
Okay.
Well, yeah. If they didn't, well, they somewhere, right? They're somewhere.
They somewhere.
Yeah.
They're somewhere.
Right. And it's funny that you were saying that about the working with people who are growing in their spiritual walk.
Yeah.
My cousin who's on here, the one I said was laughing at us, he was a guest on here, and she wrote a book that kind of outline her walk as when she was younger.
Yeah.
And a middle school girl who believed in the Lord.
Yeah.
But didn't want to tell nobody.
Tell them about it.
And so all right. The book is about how it came to be.
She was a secret private eye Christian.
Yeah. And wound up getting outed. So they wound up creating a little group of middle school girls or girls of whatever grade.
Amen.
Did the Christian walk. So that's
Amen.
It's kind of a tie-in correlation with the whole thing.
Absolutely.
So it says that you were a field executive for the Girl Scouts.
I was.
How did that go? How did that happen? And how did it go?
So the way it happened was amazing. So I'll just give you the testimony about that. When I first graduated from college, I was a corporate trainer from Montgomery Ward.
Okay.
In working there, which, it was good. But that was a season where my husband was deciding if he wanted to go full throttle and commit himself to the Lord. We were going to church together. We were, committed to our church. And they came to us as the staff from Montgomery Ward, and they gave everyone an offer who were that was in our positions. And the offer, which later became a demand, was you have to start moving around the country and open stores all around the country. And my first thought was like, oh, that's kind of nice that you would want me to do that. However, my husband just started going to church. So I don't know if that's something I would be able to do. Long story short, after a lot of time, I went and called my husband at the mall on DeQuinder. I don't know if you guys remember Montgomery Ward on DeQuinder.
Universal.
And went and called my husband crying on the telephone and said, hey, they've given me an ultimatum. Either I can start traveling around the country and opening stores, or I'm gonna have to resign. And so I resigned. That was, it felt good in the moment, but on that third month of being unemployed, I'm like, what in the world did you do? Excuse me. But anyway, I was down at Wayne State looking on a job opportunity board, and actually saw a poster, and there was a lady who was there. Her name was Gayla. Didn't know her. She pulled this and she said, you ought to apply for this. And I said, yeah, well, I mean, what is it? She said, it's a field executive for the Girl Scouts. And I said, I wasn't a I wasn't a Girl Scout. I was a campfire girl. Anyway, long story short, applied, got the job. The most beautiful part of that story is that Gayla was a Muslim. And before I left there, she was a Christian.
Oh, wow.
And so I believe that it was a hand of God that led me during that season to, for her to hand it out. We formed a relationship and she gave her life to the Lord, which was, just amazing. So yes, field executive for the Girl Scout, did that, managed 7 neighborhoods of volunteers to make sure that the girls got the program effectively and that the program was run well and that they were heeding to all of the regulations and so forth. I would also go out to the schools and do some recruiting for volunteers and support them through their leader journey and so forth. So did that until Frank made me quit.
Frank had you do a lot of quitting, didn't he?
He did. But listen, the man is in charge. I don't know why. It's so funny. People like, oh, who in charge? He's in charge. But it was good because I drove it. The office was in Mount Clemens and it was an hour away. I was pregnant with my first daughter and I fell asleep at the wheel.
Oh.
And he said, you done, baby.
Right.
Call him and tell him you done. So that's how I left that position and then went home. But great experience, had its challenges, but it was a good experience.
Right, because my next question would be, and before I go that, I got to, because we got a couple people making these crazy comments about you. Pamela Galloway.
Don't tell the truth.
She said, "What MSU? I still love you."
Who is that?
Pam Galloway.
Tell Sister Pam I love her, and she's the only her and my daughter. She's the only U of M person, and Jennifer. I'm sorry. So let me forget about Jennifer.
Don't forget about Jennifer.
Those only 3. I got room in my heart for U of M. Look, I got a crazy story about U of M too. I'll tell that another time.
Oh, I was waiting.
Real quick story. My daughter got a scholarship to U of M, Ann Arbor. We went to the Parents' Day. And I'm about to make Frank the bad guy again. Listen, you got to give me some better stories. Went to the parent orientation and they told us to get up and sing the fight song. I was offended. I said, no, I'm not singing that song. My husband kindly leaned over and said, girl, as much money as they giving your daughter, you better get this thing.
I know that's right.
And so I got up and sang. That's one time.
Okay.
One time, but I was appreciative.
They gave her a scholarship.
They gave her a scholarship.
You should have danced that song. Listen, wait a minute. My daughter went to King.
Yeah.
Played basketball for me. I was at all the games cheering for King.
See, okay, well, I did sing it, Damon.
Okay,
I sang it once. I sang it at the moment that it really counted.
Right.
That's right. There we go.
There you go.
All
right. Kudos to Frank.
Hey, Ray Nelson and Joanne Pounds, how y'all doing? So let me ask you a question. The stuff that you learned doing the Girl Scouts, because you just said it was a new experience for you. You didn't really.
Yeah.
Have you been able to use to have those skills proven to be beneficial to you?
Well, because I was in the more in the management area, I think it was a good proving ground. Okay. In terms of having diverse teams and having so many teams. One of the things I was one of the few African Americans there. We were in Macomb County. Yeah. The schools that I was assigned to, or the areas that I was assigned to, went all the way up to 32 Mile Road. So there was some great experiences. There were some things that I learned, and it prepared me in such a way that I think that I would not have been prepared had I not had those experiences. Mm-hmm. It's so funny. As I told you, I was pregnant with my daughter. I had 7 baby showers. So by the end of that relationship, I think I had a really good relationship with the people, but it was tenuous at best going into it. Okay. I was very young, very green, in a leadership position. And so I learned some things.
Okay. Well, there's always room for learning and growth.
Absolutely.
And you know, it's important. I tell you, I see you got something you want to ask too. It's important that a lot of times, you know, you was telling the story about how you moved from here to there, quit this job, left that job, and it's amazing how people are, because like I'm not one of them people that like to move around. I'm just not. Yeah. And I kind of wish I was, because I see people who like yourself who go from here to there doing this and that, and it helps you diversify your own portfolio and be successful.
Yeah, and you know what? It was God though. I mean, you know, had I had my choice, I don't think that I would have left those positions when I did. You know, one of the other things about, you know, the Girl Scouts is that after that 6 weeks of, you know, you get off for maternity leave, you know, I was sitting there thinking, who's going to keep my baby? What am I going to do with this beautiful baby that God has given me? So I went home and I was a homemaker for 7 years after that. So, you know, after those positions, it was, I would not have left. Let me just say that. In my mind, I was not, you know, the young people, we talked about the millennials, you know, before we got on. Yeah. They have a courage that I didn't have. You know, one of the things that I learned from my parents, you know, my dad was in corporate at GM. My mom was the executive director for the Sickle Cell Center for many years, and you sit and stay, right?
Yes.
That was a part of what we were taught and how we were groomed. So
exactly,
if I had my choice, I don't think I would have left there, but God had another plan. And I you know, you go back to the Girl Scouts, it did build, if you will, the way that I saw leadership. And not just, so what I do now, I work with volunteers, right? Okay. The Girl Scout was with volunteers.
Yes.
I think what people fail to understand is that when you have the authority as a boss, that you know, that creates a different type of relationship.
Right.
I can tell you what you are going to do. You know, I can always negotiate, if you will, with you about your position. Do you want to keep your position? I think you have to have a different kind of finesse when you're working with volunteers. You know,
right.
They have chosen to give of their time to this particular cause or whatever it may be. And even if it's for their children, and you know, as parents, we'll do a lot for our children, but you're still dealing with grown people who can choose what to do with their time and what they're going to do. And I think that is something that I always remember in what I do now, is that you have to deal with adults who are volunteers in a certain way.
Yes.
Right? You cannot command and demand. You know, you have to, you know, collaborate with them and have, it has to be value for them. It has to be respectful. It has to be, you know, in a sense, you have to make them feel good about what they're giving and good about their service. And I think that that's something that is not, it's not what people want to do today. I think everybody wants to be a leader, and they want to be a commanding leader and not a servant leader. And I think that that's something that's totally different. So that's one of the things that I really learned at the Girl Scouts, you know, in addition to other things, is having a compassion for people who are volunteers, right? And giving of their time and their service. You know, what we do now, we go through a lot, and a lot of people say, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't, you know, but the reality is that at the end of the day, these people are put in a position to help our children.
Yes.
And I want them to choose to continue to be committed to their success.
Yeah.
So somebody has to be a cheerleader for them.
Yeah, yeah. And you know, it's funny, you talking about volunteers, but COVID taught us that people who get paid for a living, you can't just talk to them any kind of way either, because they'll just leave.
Listen, here's the first thing: we shouldn't be talking to anybody any kind of way in the first place.
In the first place,
let's just talk about us.
Let's talk about this.
From the Christian perspective, you know, we should be mindful the way that we deal with people, right? But we are living in a world, you know, we are living in a world today where things are so disposable, even a job.
Yes.
You know, the idea of integrity, the idea of you know, continuity of service and being at a place for a long time. These young people, they don't care about that. Where can I benefit myself next? Not you. I'm moving on.
That's right.
But even with adults, though, you know, you have adults where it's not about a career. It's about just getting enough money, you know, to take care of whatever, you know, my needs are. But the status, the I don't know what the word would be, the idea of feeling good about being committed in a particular career, that doesn't drive people anymore. You know? So we shouldn't be talking to people any old kind of way. But if you do, please know they might be gone.
Yeah, because you need
it's definitely some consequences.
What was
definitely?
Right.
Well, mine was just what you were talking about, because being in the field, I never would like to being in the field like that, going from place to place.
Yeah.
Either way it go. I was a stick and stay person. We got a child that don't mind doing it. One of our children don't mind doing it, but we got the other one that stick and stay like me.
And you know, and both of them can be advantageous, right? I guess it depends on who they are and what they're doing. You know, but it can be advantageous.
Yeah. Well, I ain't trying to work in the field no way. I got bad.
Listen,
field work ain't the right thing.
Can I get some retirement? How about not work at all? Can I get some retirement, please? How about that?
Yeah. I heard about that. They said it was real good.
I heard. I have not tasted as of yet, but I hopefully, prayerfully, one day.
Yeah. It's worth shooting for.
Listen. Don't brag about it.
You're too young.
Don't brag about it.
That wasn't a brag.
You're too young.
That's what they told us even when we was in our 60s. You're too young.
Listen.
Okay, so you know what? I'm gonna do this right here.
Okay.
Gentle persuasion and care for these current day volunteers is needed. That's what Joanne Pound said.
They take a little season to a little salt seasoning, they just take it a little bit too far.
Good. That's all right.
Okay, so now because you should have an answer to this question now.
I hope so.
Things my mother never told me. What's something that your mother you just said it a minute ago, actually.
Well, you're gonna have to remind me, and then I'm gonna have to come up with another one.
When you were talking about the stuff that you had to deal with, that you learned about as that volunteer with the girls, the position with the Girl Scouts.
Well, you know what? I would say my mom. I would say that she taught me that, though.
Okay.
You know, one of the things, you know, with working with the Sickle Cell Center, and I don't know if you guys are familiar with what it is, but
the Sickle Cell, the person who's over there was a guest on our show.
Stop it, Dr. Wanda Sherney.
Yeah.
Yep. So she was Dr. Witten's daughter,
right?
And my mom was the executive director with Dr. Witten for 30 years. She would go back and forth. So at one point she moved to Alabama. We're from Alabama. She moved back to Alabama, and she was an executive director over another nonprofit, and then came back to the city and was the executive director there.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's a small world, I'm telling you.
Yeah, because I was going to ask you, I was going to say, I know you know her because her father was running, so I know you know her.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Grew up running around the Sickle Cell Center, being a terror. When they first bought out electric staplers, me and my sister sticking our finger under there, we were doing all kind of crazy.
So y'all were chaos together?
We were.
Okay.
Excuse me, we were.
Yeah, because one of the guys that works with her, he went to cast with me.
Yeah.
So that's so okay.
I'm like you. The world is getting smaller.
It's small. Well, I tell you, my one tweetable moment. It's a small world. I'm glad I'm the same person in all of them. It's a very small world.
Yeah.
We got so something that my mother never told me. Something my mother never told me. I have a pretty good one.
Okay, here we go.
My mother never, because she did it so gracefully and with finesse, she never told me the burden of leadership.
Okay.
And the cost of being a leader and the cost of being a boss.
Yeah.
Because she was the executive director for so long, and her leadership style was not authoritarian, they absolutely loved her, right? Yeah. And we spent so much time, like I said, there with her. I don't think I knew until later on, in running a business, in being in leadership, the cost of being a leader, being a good leader. I'm sorry, let me roll.
Yeah.
The cost of being a good leader. Now, people, folk can do any old kind of thing, but the cost of being a good leader, and understanding the service that comes with that I would have to say, she never complained. She never, she never whined about it. She never talked. I would have to say that's what she never told me.
Okay.
But it was a lesson well learned.
Yeah. And but then when you saw it, you knew what it was though, right?
I knew what it was. Well, and my mom always said, if you have to go around telling people you're in charge and you're the boss, you're not in charge.
You're not in charge.
Definitely not the boss.
That's right. That's right.
And so that was something that, that we gleaned from her. But growing in that moment, it's like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know what good leadership is.
Mm-hmm.
She was a very good leader, very, very good, compassionate leader.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did she have any sway in your style of delivering the sermon?
No. And it's so funny because if you were to sit in a room with me and my mom, you would probably say that we are totally different.
Okay. So she nice and easy to get along with?
Yes, very much so. Look, tell the truth, shame the devil. Quiet spoken, look, real nice and pleasant, and this rowdy child over here. So no, I think that what she did do, and I can't say enough about it, is that when I was called into ministry, even before I was called into ministry in 1993, I didn't know my life was heading that way. My mom did, and she brought me a Strong's Concordance, and she came over to the house and she bought me her own old Strong's Concordance that's still down on my bookshelf. And she said, in order for you to teach, you have to know.
Mm-hmm.
And with that Strong's Concordance, that was, my seminary, 16 hours at the table, studying for 16 hours a day.
Wow.
During that season when my baby was young, my first baby. And Frank was like, what is wrong with you? Because I would be in the same place when he got home. But I would not say that she influenced my preaching style, but definitely my study style,
right?
And understanding in the passion to know what the word says and why it says it, and understanding what the red line through scripture is, which is all of it is about Jesus Christ. So she definitely influenced that. My preaching style, that's just me. What you get is me. I mean, that's just unfettered me. You guys know I'm not a hooper. I'm not a my style is me.
You tell a good story though.
Well, you know what? But you know what? And I feel like if we can connect with the passages and understand the story, it makes all the difference. And I'm not against the hooper, but you only gonna remember how you felt in that hoop.
Right.
But you're not going to necessarily understand why you felt the way you felt if you don't understand the story.
Right.
So, I mean, that part is really important, but I'm that's just me.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause we need both of them.
Well, sure. Listen, I feel like we need to do what the Lord called us to do and be genuinely who we are.
Yes.
And I don't care what that looks like. If you have been called and you have been equipped and you have been empowered, you need to do what you're supposed to do the way you do it, the way the Lord gave you to do it.
That's because like you say, your style might be for me, but the hooper might be for somebody else.
And just might be.
And you got to be, diverse. Yeah. But I just love you, how you always throw a comical something in or some real life story, some what's the name? And as a matter of fact, I don't hear you enough.
And so you said that next question was what now?
See what she did? Pam Galloway said, do you think your mother would have been able to tell you it may not have been a chore for her? When we talked about her style of managing or leadership.
Tell Pam that is a great question. And I believe
I know I won't tell her that.
I'm gonna tell her, Pam, that was a great question. I love you. Look, you know what? She would not have told me it was easy. And the reason I say that is because her gentle personality caused her to have to step out of her comfort zone to be a true leader, right? And to keep things in order. Yeah. So I think it was a challenge for her. I think that leadership for her, it was a challenge. I don't think she knew how good she was at it. But I do know that it was a challenge for her just because her personality, like I said, was a little bit different. But she was a phenomenal leader. She was a phenomenal speaker. She was a phenomenal Bible teacher.
Okay.
She was awesome. But that's one thing I can say is that I know it didn't come easy for her because she always felt like it wasn't good enough.
Yeah. Oh, Pam gave you a heart. She said,
"Oh, thank you."
And Joanne Pound called you a teacher preacher.
Yeah, teacher preacher.
A teacher preacher. It's funny because when you talked earlier about you say your mother didn't tell you about the cost of leadership.
Yeah.
And or being a good leader. And I think we really need to sit on that for just a second.
Yeah.
Because you said this, it didn't come easy, but a lot of people, and I'll throw myself in that category. A lot of people do what they feel is right, no matter how painful it is to them. And there's a cost on the back end for that. And though you said she never complained about it, but when you do that, you need some place that you can debrief or bring yourself back to whole.
Absolutely.
When you go through that.
And I think that that is two things I think about is I think that, when you are a leader and you have a great spouse, I cannot tell you how much I appreciate my husband. We'll be married for 33 years coming up in February.
Okay.
So I'm at the place now where I've been married to him longer than my life without him. And I mean, the Lord told me sitting in a church service that he is a gift, and he is. Yeah. But I think that with leadership, that's one of those places, even with the business, when you get to those hard places, having that place to go, right? Not only that place of comfort, but also that place of wisdom. Frank has been in management for forever, and that expertise is invaluable to be able to hear that from him. And he's going to tell me the truth. And he's going to be like, girl, I told you I married him because he was like, girl, go sit down. And he was the first man that ever said that I thought it was a good idea. I was like, you know what? You're right. I'm going to go sit down. But he is you know what I'm talking about. But, I mean, he is a wealth of wisdom, wealth of wisdom. And again, I always tell the story about the movie Spirit, old Disney movie about this wild horse, and the owner didn't try to break the horse. And that's Frank with me. He knows how to keep me in line, right? But he's not trying to change me into anyone else. So he'll tell me, this is a weakness for you. This is something that you need to think about. This is something that you need to do. But all of that, in addition to that, I think having good colleagues, yes. I have friends in ministry, that are very close, and I can call and say, okay, you know what? I need you to read me right now. And I need you to tell me, not just about a situation. But do you think I was being prideful in this moment? Or do you think that is a trigger for me? Do you think? So there have to be people around you that you give that, to, and we have to consider that sometimes we're wrong.
Right.
And I know that our desire for leadership is to lead effectively, right? Who wants to be a poor leader? Nobody wants to be
That's
a poor
right.
leader.
That's right.
But I do know that sometimes, we get groupthink. We may just, the Bible says in Proverbs, there's a way that seems right to a man, but the end of his ways are death.
Yeah.
I think that there is a sense in which, for the most part, all of us think we're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. All right, man.
But ultimately, I think it's the leader's responsibility, especially for the Christian leader, to say, surrender to God and be willing to not do what you think you want to do.
Right.
And to do, what he says. So it is complicated. I remember, I can't remember what year it was, but I remember the circumstance, and I remember feeling the pull to be in ministry. And I fought it for so long because I'm like, Lord, I think you meant to call Frank. I think you called the wrong side of the bed. Frank would be better at this. I think he would be great. He's a great leader. He's a great servant. So I struggled with it for a long time, but I remember the day that I gave in. I was at our old childhood home on 7 Mile and Evergreen. And I was sitting and I was looking at my former pastor on TV because, he was on radio and TV. And he was talking about leadership. And I remember falling on my face before the Lord and saying, Lord, like Paul, I said, Paul didn't want to make shipwreck. Please help me to do what I need to do, not to make shipwreck. Because you're talking about people. You're talking about people's lives. You're talking about their eternity. So what do I need to do to not make shipwreck? And that's when I started, going to my former church and learning in a different way, right? And I think that's what we have to do as leadership. It's not just about a title. It's not just about a position, but you got to be willing to do the hard thing, and you got to be willing to do God's thing.
Right.
And it's a challenge. But going back to your original point, how do you do it? I think you have to have people around you. None of us can be an island. And in order to be an effective leader, you have to have some people who are willing to be honest enough with you to say,
right, exactly.
I think you might, want to think about that. I think you want to consider that. So it can't be done alone.
Right. Well, they always say, if everybody around you agree with everything that you say and do, you need to get away from them people. Listen,
you better stop paying them. Because they don't agree, right? A lot of people stay around because they're getting a check.
Yeah.
Right. The reality is, it's the truth. If you have people who are just, I call it lauding and applauding, and that's all they do.
Yeah.
They're not good for you.
Nah, they're not even good for themselves.
Nope, but
we're gonna tell the truth about it.
Yeah, wonderful. Okay, Frank. All right. Thank you for your efforts support to your wife.
He should be in here listening. I could have got some gifts, Christmas gift or some flowers or something. That man knows how I feel about him.
Yes, I know the love of a good husband.
Look, isn't it? Anyway, we can't talk about that because I'm a cry. And listen, and sometimes, Tina, I just feel downright guilty, right? I'm like, God, you have been so good to me.
Yes.
And now you look around at all these other folks and you be like, I'm so sorry for you, but I'm so good over here.
and look, I tell them all the time at the bullet, I'm like, Pastor, I will hurt you over my
listen, let me tell you. Now, see, I ain't got that far, Tina, because my thought is if I got to hurt somebody over him, he ain't doing the right thing. And it might
I know, but that was another context. Exactly. The context I put it in.
Right. But it does show the commitment to a good
I can say that too. He has my formula. So he know when I'm out this acting crazy. And yes, he'll reel me in. And
it ain't that I don't agree with you, because I do. let's keep moving.
Right. You said
like she said, she told us to move
on. So what's up next for provision? Is that what it's called? Provision? Yeah, provision.
Yeah, that is a good question. That's a good question. And it's a good question. I'm in the valley of decision about some things. One of the things, so the way that the business started, and I don't know if I told you this part, is that I used to be in full-time ministry. And I was in full-time ministry at my previous church, and I was there for in full-time ministry for 5 or 6 years.
Okay.
And it didn't end the way I would have wanted it to end. It was a paying position, and I chose to leave because I believe that's what God wanted me to do. But I did not have, my household was dependent upon, my salary, so I prayed and asked the Lord, what to do. My sister and I have always had businesses, Frank and I had a catering business at one point in time. And I don't like cooking like that. Y'all heard what I said about
right there.
Listen, I'm like, while you at work, he was the manager over the catering conference center. So we knew what to do. Frank can burn. I don't know if y'all know that. Frank can cook, which is why I stayed fat for so many years. But he can cook. So we had a catering business, right? But it got to the place where it was growing so much, again, I was at home with the girls and I was trying to hold them and do stuff, and it just became to be too much. But my sister also had a tax business because she's an accountant. She does accounting for schools and small businesses. Okay. So when I left my previous station, I was talking to her on the phone, and it's like, she was like, what is your heart? And I said, my heart is that I really want to have the flexibility to do what the Lord would have me to do in ministry. And so as we talked about it, she's like, okay, so you need either you're not going to work or you're going to have your own business. Mm-hmm. And so both of us were saying, yes, we need flexibility. At that point in time, my nephew, her son, was getting in trouble at school, and we wanted to be godly wives, and we wanted to be godly and useful mothers, right? Okay. Present mothers. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So both of us were like, she was working on a job, and we said, okay, we're going to pray and ask the Lord to, what we should do. And it was probably in 1 hour. He gave us the name Provision, which stands for Jehovah Jireh, the Lord our provider. Mm-hmm. And I told him, you know, I need to do something that allows me to have the flexibility to do what you want me to do when you call me to do it.
Mm-hmm.
All of that to say is that business, you know, it's grown. It has been great. You know, the Lord has sustained us. He's built us. We've never advertised. For the almost 19 years we've been in business. It's been referral and word of mouth.
Cool.
But we're at the place now where I feel that, you know, some of my employees are getting older. And the question is, you know, what do I do next, you know, in terms of those positions? Do I want to get more people in those positions? And
that's the question I was going to ask you too, but go ahead.
Yeah. Do I want to try to get people and, you know, and train them for those positions? What do I want to do? All of that to say, Minister Damon, is that, you know, some opportunities have come up for me to travel more. And do work, right, in other areas. And while I believe it's potentially a great opportunity, I'm just really concerned about how the work would impact, how would my career impact my calling, which is what I'm always concerned about, right?
Okay. Right.
So that's something I'm concerned about. So actually, you asked me a question. I'm in the Valley of Decision. You know, I'll be leaving town next week to see where I stand, you know, with this particular organization and what to do next.
Yeah.
But you know, I'm really prayerful about it. I'm really prayerful about what comes next. I don't. Yeah.
Yeah. You can leave it right.
Know.
You can leave it right there. Yeah. You can leave it right there.
We all praying.
Your sister's in partnership with you, right?
She is.
And so she's squandering the same situation.
So you know what? So she's not a facilitator. She does accounting. So her work is a little bit different. Right? So she is an accountant for the schools. So getting into those relationships are a little bit more difficult than what I do. She done gone and she done bought 10 duplexes. So she might be about to quit me in a minute anyway. I probably need another job. How about that?
How about that?
Right.
So she might have quit me and I just don't know yet.
You just know you the last one to know. Real quick, I gotta give a shout out. Hey, Mary and Beck, how you doing? And Jackie Williams, on one of the points we made earlier, she said yes and not sugarcoat stuff. Does that sound familiar?
I don't know who she could be talking about.
No, when we talking about telling people, you know exactly what she's talking about.
I know what listen, that's my life, Damon. I know who she's talking about.
You know exactly what she's talking about.
But you know what? But I think, you know, one of the scriptures that I think is really important is Ephesians, right? You know, speaking the truth in love.
Yes.
And I think that sometimes people feel like if you're, you know, being loving, that you're not saying a hard thing. I know for me, the reason that I'm willing to sacrifice myself to say the hard thing is because I love you, right?
Yeah, right.
If that's what God has said, and I know that it is something that He requires of me, and I'm always praying about the right way to say it.
Yes.
But that is one of the things, you know, when the Lord called me into ministry, y'all gonna get sick of all of my stories. When the Lord called me,
that's why you on here.
Look, I know, right? When the Lord called me into ministry, He gave me a passage in Ezekiel chapter 3. And He was telling me, you know, and believe it or not, He told me when He called me into ministry that I would be ministering for the most of my ministerial career to leaders.
Okay.
And He took me to Ezekiel chapter 3, and He said, though they are stubborn and though they are hard, He said, I've set your face like flint. And I want you to go and say what I've told you to say. And I said, Lord, you said you want me to say what He said. Are you going to tell them? And that's what He kept asking me until I said yes. Are you going to say what I've given you to say? And it took a long time. And even going back to my husband, we were married at that point in time. And I said, I know what you're calling me to do, but it's not just me. You know, you've given me a husband. And He said, I got your husband. He said, I'm going to do what I've told you to do. And I was like, yeah. And that was in the summer of 1993.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I try to do it with compassion. I try to say the difficult thing with grace and thinking about the heart of the believer. But it is That's a part of the struggle. You know, I get tired of people calling me a hellfire and damnation preacher. I want something pretty to say with flowers and rainbows and unicorns. I've talked to the Lord about it too. I'd be like, Jesus, now I want a message about unicorns and rainbows and flowers and glitter.
But the problem is, if there's a problem, I mean, is that what he gives you to say is what people need to hear.
But Minister Damon Dixon, you well know that even if the Lord has given it and they need to hear it, don't mean that they're going to be happy about you saying it.
But that ain't your problem.
Yeah, but it still don't feel good. It still don't feel good when people be looking upside your head and like, and you know, and saying and calling you self-righteous and she's holier than. Listen, I'm trying to get on the train too.
Listen, if I can.
Sometimes when the Lord said you had to be bold, so
you got to be that.
It's
like, you know what? I had a problem at work years ago. People said that I thought I knew everything. And
listen,
they say you a know-it-all. You know, I say no, I don't. I say I can tell you several things that I do not know.
A whole lot
that I do not know.
A whole lot of stuff I do not know.
So when you accuse me of thinking I know it all, let's be clear. I know I don't know it all.
But listen, and I would add to that, Minister Dixon. But what the Lord say, I do know. I know what He said to say. Now right. I don't know all of it, but I do know that part that He told me to represent.
I asked him for something. He gave it to me. Now I got to do what He said do.
Listen. Yeah. It's you know, but yes, but it is always a struggle, and I think that's one of the things. If you were to ask me what do I think people misunderstand about me the most, I would say that was it. You know, that there is, I think people believe that there's a harshness there, and there may be, you know, a receipt of something that's difficult to hear or difficult, but the intent and the desire behind that is never to be harsh. Right. Is never to be a know-it-all. Is never to be, you know, that person. That's not at all.
The reason why, you know, it's like a saying my father used to have. When you throw a rock, the dog that hollers is the one that you hit. So if I say something and you get upset about it, maybe it's because you feel like it's you. So don't blame me.
And look, Dixon, I ain't even going that far. I'm just like, I don't want to see the dog that holler. That's between you and the Lord. I don't have to see it. I don't listen. I don't have to see no howling dog. I'm not trying to say who it's for. That's between you and the Lord.
Exactly.
Right? If you have clarifying questions, yes, I'm gonna make myself available. If I can serve in some kind of way that we all grow up in the faith, as Ephesians 5 say, to grow stronger, I'm there for you. Yeah. But no, I don't. Yeah,
right. And I think that's the point of the statement is that I didn't say nothing to you. You telling on yourself.
Yeah.
So if you feel convicted, you know, that's between, like you said, that's between you and the Lord. It got nothing to do with me.
I let folk tell me off, and I just say, right.
Right. I don't even know what y'all talking, because when I first heard you, I was like, I'm ready. Right. Can't wait to hear you again.
Right. But that's the whole point, though. Is that
I don't know. You must have changed since then. I don't know.
No, that's her delivering a message in her wonderful style that she does, and somebody knowing that they wrong somewhere, and they decide they got to scream out at you about it because you was talking about something, and they feel that you was talking about them. It's like you know, Pastor Jay said all the time when she be doing a sermon, and folks be talking about, she wasn't with us last night. How she know I did that? She don't.
Listen, the Lord was.
Right.
He certainly was. But you know what? And that, you know, it's another conversation for another day, but it's incredible how we in the Christian church have become so uncomfortable with conviction.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you know, the Holy Spirit is just to make you scream and shout and dance, but He's not there to convict you. But that's exactly what He's supposed to be there doing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you want to watch this. You're going to like this one. I just made this up.
Say it.
If you get convicted in court, you go to jail. If you get convicted in Christ, you get out of jail.
Say it. That's if you accept Him.
If you accept Him, right?
If you accept your pardon papers.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jesus.
Yeah.
That's.
See, that's why they looking at it all wrong. They're looking at it all wrong. That conviction is your walking paper. You free now.
Absolutely.
If you take them.
If you take them. If you yield.
Yeah.
If you yield.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh, look at Joanne Pound say. Wait a minute. These people out here talking. She say some folks don't understand sugarcoating. They understand the blunt truth to their eyes.
Well, yeah.
Be bold.
And Jackie Williams saying for people to grow, we have to know the truth and tell it like it is.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
They're just going on. Look, Pamela Galloway, your tone is always good.
Yes.
Marion Beck, I say, don't shoot me. I'm just a messenger.
Yeah. Every time.
Right. But you gonna get shot a couple of times, though. You just pray for healing.
That's why you got to put on all that armor that
gave you. On the internet ain't no joke.
Listen, you better put it on. You better put it on.
So, okay, we getting close to the end. We don't want to hold you all night. So what do you do for fun?
Did she say?
She gonna say it again.
Oh,
I want to show you what I do for fun.
She got some quilting. She got some quilting. She gonna show us.
Let me see.
Oh, you do that art.
I color.
I
color. And when I have time, I used to draw. I don't draw as much as I used to, but I do create things with my hands, crafts, painting. At one point in time, I had a craft business. So it's I color. That's the part of what I do.
Yeah.
Cool. That's what I do for fun. What else do I do for fun? That's probably not fun, but sometimes I just binge watch Elementary. I love Sherlock Holmes.
Elementary is good.
That's good. Isn't that good?
Yeah.
I need something, to kind of make your mind move. So every while I'll binge watch that. Of course, I study and read the Bible, but that's food.
It's
for
a
the
given.
soul. It is fun,
right?
But
different kind of fun.
Yeah. Let me think. That's all I've been doing right now. That's all I've been doing right now. But coloring is my new deal right now.
Okay, good.
That's all. I got some friends do that. I even got a girlfriend that developed a business with that because everybody come online and they all painting different little things.
Yes. And so I've actually thought about doing that. You were asking about what the future looks like. I was trying to find a business I can do to wind down because I know I can't run at this speed for the next 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
So looking for potentially another business opportunity. Would love to be able to do something with Frank and I together.
Right.
It cannot involve pots and pans. So I'm looking for something, So we will see. But I love coloring and crafting.
Okay.
Cool. Crafting used to be my thing too.
Yeah, it used to be.
Used to be.
See, you got to make time for it, Senior. You got to, that's one thing I had to force myself to do. I was always so busy, always had to do the next thing.
I just be procrastinating too much. I'd be like,
So here's another question that I should ask you earlier. How did COVID affect you?
Oh, we don't have enough time for that story. It was having it was very difficult. But it started out a challenge for me. So my oldest daughter is an educator, right? So she is a teacher. And it started hitting groups and pockets that were always together. So we knew about COVID. We heard about it a little bit, but didn't really understand it. My daughters were still living with us at that point. And it's really funny when they right before they shut everything down, we were in Arizona on a family trip. And so we weren't, of course, we weren't watching the news or anything. And we get on a plane and get ready to come home and say, people dying. What in the world is going, we were just like, what is going on?
Right.
One of her coworkers, one of the first people to die in the city was formerly, I think, a naval officer or something that came back and got his second career as a teacher.
Okay.
And they were out of school that day. And I heard this horrible screaming coming from upstairs. And it was my daughter. He had died. And so she was really upset. So that was the first moment where it's like, okay, this is something big. This is not just a couple of deaths here and there. We managed to go all the way, and Frank and I, to December. You know, Frank worked outside of the house through the whole pandemic. So that was a type of emotional stress in itself. I was like, babe, why are you going to sleep every day when you get home? He was stressed out. Yeah. And of course, he didn't want to talk to me about it. He didn't want to, you know, have me all upset because I was already concerned. He would come in, it would take a half an hour to wipe down everything he touched coming in. He would go get in the shower. But we had this whole routine thing, right? It's like, babe, you know, you need to stay safe.
Right.
Because I was working from home. We closed down our office in May of 2020 and never went back. So all of my staff works from home. They're telecommuting. Except for when we have to go into the schools and so forth. Long story short, we got COVID December. Frank wasn't feeling well. His eyes were red. And I'm like, honey, you know, what's going on? He said, I think I just got a sinus issue. That was on a Thursday. By Monday, he was like, this is not sinuses. I need to go to, you know, see. He went and he had a COVID test. That particular day, I was picking up food for my elderly aunt and delivering it to her, you know, from the grocery store. I was at Sam's Club, couldn't get out the car. I was so tired and went home and got into bed. And Frank was like, they said, I have COVID. You need to go get tested. If it were not, long story short, if it were not for my husband, who is truly a gift from God, I would have died, I'm sure. I could not lift up my cup. I could not get out the bed. I mean, he was so concerned. His mom, who was a nurse, kept calling saying, get her out the bed, get her out the bed. I would cry when I had to get out the bed. He was in a lot of pain. So he had a lot of back pain. So he would be pacing the floor in the middle of the night. It was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. It was horrible, but God kept us and he healed. You know, from that point, found out, you know, before that I was pre-diabetic, but doing good with my numbers and all of that. After COVID, couldn't get my sugar down. You know, taking all kind of medications, all kind of shots. I'm not on insulin, thank God. But my body didn't do well with the medication. And so it was another 6 months, 7 months of just could not get out the bed because I would be so sick and so weak from the medication.
Praise God.
It's no joke, but the Lord, praise God, taking the medication. There are sometimes I have some up days and some down days now, but I'm so, when y'all ask me how I'm doing, I said, I'm so grateful that things are as well as they are. I be thinking about, girl, listen.
I know.
It could be a whole different way because so it took us a month. It probably took us about a month before we got to the place where we were able to function again. You know, my daughter's greatest gift ever. I was like, Lord, you gave me some compassionate young women because they came over, they had moved out, they bought a house together, but they had moved out before we got COVID. That was the Lord's hand. And they were able to come back and forth and take care of us. And I sent them a card and they were like, Mama, you so stupid.
Yeah, no.
I sent them a card after we got better. And I was like, thank you.
I know.
I don't know what we would have done. Thank you for just being the young women that you are, because you could have been a totally different way.
Sure could have.
It was, let me just say, it was rough. Had really good friends to die.
Yeah.
So emotionally, one of my sisters, Sister Shirley, I mean, you know, just a lot of good people to leave here. But what I'm glad about is that she went from work to reward. But it was rough. It was rough. It was life-changing. I think that it also made me think about, okay, you know, what's really important. And I think, you know, going back to your other question about work and ministry, I don't want to spend the rest of my life just working. It's not about, you know, just making money, right? It's not about just doing that. Lord, I want to fulfill your purpose for my life. And I believe that God has given us the business as a resource.
Yes.
So I don't know how all that lines up, but COVID, you know, made me, it impacted us. It really did.
Yeah.
It impacted me too.
I don't have COVID now though. Let me just say, I took a COVID test because, you know, when I started hacking, I was like,
Now watch this. This gonna get you now.
What?
So when I asked you the question, I was asking how it affected the business. But you know what? But the good news is I had forgot that y'all had it.
Yeah. But how did it impact the business? Praise God, he kept our staff good. You know, we had an office for 15 years up on Southfield in 12 Mile. in one of the office buildings there. When everybody went down in March 2020, we still had a lease for another year, but we just quickly transitioned. So all of our staff works from home. What I can say is that our business has been very resilient. And even with COVID, we were able to transition with, when we had the recession, God has always made a way. He has always made a way. It didn't always feel easy or good, but he's always made a way. Thank God for my business partner, my sister, who is an accountant extraordinaire. Thank God that we are a Black business that does business well, and we had our paperwork. Yeah. So we were able to get 2 rounds of the PPP loan. Okay. That was forgiven. Yeah. So it was, the Lord, wonderful. He kept us. Yeah. He kept us.
Right. And say that, so you had 2 ways to answer that question, both of them inspirational.
Mm-hmm. Well, I thank you. I hope so. But it's a true testimony. We could not have done anything, personal or business, without the hand of the Lord. He has.
Say it.
Yeah. We don't even have time to talk about how he has. We wouldn't have the business if it were not for him. We would. You can see his hand. Yeah. In all of it, not just business, but personal, our lives. Yeah. He has a resume with me, and I know what he's done. Yeah.
And ain't ashamed to say it.
Listen, give me 2 seconds. I'm gonna tell you about it.
Comments. Pamela Galloway said, "Coloring is fun."
Yes, it is. No. Let me correct. Correct. Pam Galloway does not color. And listen, if I could get up from here and show you her artwork. She is an artist extraordinaire. Don't let her play you like that. Okay. She is not a colorer. Tell her to give you a comment about that.
Yeah, Pam. Nah, what about that, Pam?
Now what you gotta say, Pam?
Yeah, Pam. She did say that after you still like action-packed movies.
Yes, I do. I haven't seen any good ones though. Nothing. Stop doing the same. Now, wait a minute. Now, let me tell you something that kind of blew my mind. Mm-hmm. And you listen. All these action movies, they're a remake. They do the same thing over and over again. Right. John Wick 4, though.
I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, I haven't seen it either.
You better make some time to go see John Wick 4.
Okay.
Yes, you do.
She's like,
the cinematography. I'm a nerd, right? So I'm looking at the movie and kind of listening to the script, but I'm looking at all the different components about it. The cinematography in there. I said I want to be a fly on the wall in that meeting when they brought up that idea about how they did that. It was good. That was a good one.
Okay. Well, I know I got to see it. You made me forget something. Well, Reverend May said that you were one powerful speaker and teacher. Teresa, wait a minute, where are we at? Because Teresa said, she said, stop playing, sis, because Pam says I color. She colors.
No, listen. Tell her don't make me go get her artwork from over here on my shelf. I would have to dig it out of my shelf. But what she does is not coloring. She is an artiste.
I know. She trying to be, trying to be acting all humble and whatever.
That fake humble.
That fake one, right?
It's fake one.
Yeah, if it's the truth, just accept it.
It's just the truth. It's just the truth.
You said, "Don't get the stuff out, please don't."
Right. She said, "Don't do it.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it." It was something that I wanted to tell you that I just forgot. Pam made me forget her crazy comments. I just totally forgot. I forgot what it was.
But it was, I'm just saying, it's so good talking to you. I was like, yeah, you made everything a smooth transition.
Mm-hmm. Look, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I'm praying that, the show will continue to be successful and reach many, for all of those conversations, not just about Christ, but how Christ shows up in the real world.
Shows up.
That's so important.
Yes.
And you know what? The majority of the people that we have on it, they was putting God first.
Right.
Or they saw the Lord's hand in and started how he was blessing them.
Absolutely.
And I was like, see, This is why you're successful.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, when you are, the Bible says God's blessings maketh rich and addeth no sorrow. He don't add no sorrow to his blessings.
There we go.
Yeah.
So you got any parting words?
Thank you for having me. I mean, I didn't think I had anything to say, but I guess I did.
Nah, you didn't have much to say.
Since I done ran y'all over, I guess I did have something to say. Yeah. Thank you so much.
We enjoyed you, though. We enjoyed you.
Because every time she asked a question, oh, that's a story for another day. But one quick story though.
One little part. Listen, you can't be asking me no questions where I can talk about the goodness of Jesus.
I know that's right. I mean, we're supposed to spread that, don't we?
Listen, I done told you if you wanted me to be scripted, you should have sent me I'm obedient. I am obedient. That's right. You should have sent me the questions and I would have said, and the answer to this one is, I read my
answer. He told me don't do that.
Right.
He said, let's make this as genuine as possible.
Well, you know what? You couldn't have talked because he always talks too. And then he does the debriefing and really talks.
Well, look, what did you think about the show, Minister Dixon? What did you think about the show? Let me interview you for a minute.
What show? The one we just did? Interview you?
What were your thoughts?
I think it was wonderful. I think that you were your own genuine self, for those who don't know, and the fact that you were able to weave the work that God has done in your life into what you had to say was excellent, because that's, contrary to what folks may think, that's what this show is about.
Absolutely, it is. Absolutely. I agree. I appreciate the opportunity, honestly, to be on, but absolutely.
Yeah. And we appreciate you accepting the invitation.
Yeah,
absolutely. I missed a board meeting tonight, so I just want to let you know.
Okay. Well, don't tell them nothing. Don't say that. I don't know nothing about that.
Listen, if they see me on Facebook, if they're gonna be like, really? No, I'm just teasing. Yeah. I did this, but I told them, that I couldn't be there because I had committed to you all.
Okay. Well, if they see me, they'll say, "Oh, okay, we understand now."
Right.
But the Lord honors commitment.
He does. He does. I mean, I committed. I didn't know that they were having a meeting today. I'm like, you just gonna have to go it on your own. So all is well. I prayed. I sent texts before.
Yeah. Somebody taking notes, aren't they?
Listen, I'm assuming that's what they're doing. I don't know.
I hear you. I hear you.
I don't know.
Yeah, you about to be about the Lord's work anyway.
Right,
you know what I'm saying?
That's right.
Absolutely.
Anytime you quit and he still sustained you and open up another door, because like you said, when he closed, he opened
doors that you cannot see. I can't tell you that story, but anyway, I don't have time.
Yeah, I know. I hear you, girl. Look, another time.
Another time.
I'm gonna have to come over.
Please do. Listen. And when you come over, Tina, I'm gonna pull out my paint stuff from down in the basement, and we're gonna paint something. I have easels. I have paint. I have canvases, and I draw. So I'm gonna draw something on the canvas.
Yeah, that sounds good.
I used to do all that stuff.
Paint party.
I used to do all that stuff.
What we doing? Why are we not doing that?
Because I said used to. My used to is like 40 years ago.
I bet you could do it if you picked it up again.
Probably.
I bet you.
You have a whole different lens.
What I'm gonna say. What I'm gonna say is that all your friends from New Prospect say they enjoy Barbara Selly, Joanne Pounds, Brenda Grace Holly, Jackie Williams, and so forth, Lanita Ware, on and on. On and on. They said
all the wares.
They said they enjoyed it.
Amen.
And they said thank you. So
you make everything flow. Everything just flew. I was up there pulling words out your mouth too.
Right. So what we gonna do? We're gonna let you end the show. Your thank you was because see she'll get going and we'll be on the show we'll be on here for 2.5 hours.
Yeah, I hear you. I mean, listen, I've been in the bed for the last 2 days, so I ain't talked to nobody. So
and your voice sounds so much better than it did yesterday.
You know what? Look, I got my gender. I'm telling you, I've been praying all day. When I called you and said, "Nah, I don't know how this is gonna turn out," I got my ginger lemon tea. I was praying all day. I said, "Lord, please don't let me have a sneezing or coughing attack." Please don't let me in the midst of talking. And he has preserved it. So I'm
right. Tanya said that your voice is gonna be fine. We was driving down to the Pistons.
Amen.
She said her voice is gonna be fine. And I said,
Amen.
I told her I know. I ain't even worried about it.
Yeah, it was rough for a minute, but I feel better. So
hey,
all righty.
Because we helped you pray.
And thank you. I needed every bit. I needed every bit of it. And don't stop. Listen, don't stop till I'm feeling 100%.
That's right. Pam Galloway said paint party, yay.
All right. Listen, y'all gonna have me calling up to the church. Now listen, when I was sitting in church Sunday, I'm gonna tell you the truth. I was like, oh, they get to quilt? Can we craft?
I know.
Can we get a crafting ministry?
Yes, you can.
Somebody else.
I ain't on the leadership team, but I'm saying yes, you can.
Oh no, I'm not playing that game. No.
I'm saying we can work. I'm saying if you go through the proper channels.
Okay, right. I was about to say, don't get me in trouble. I stay in trouble. Don't get me in no more trouble. Okay, I no. But wouldn't that be fun?
Yeah.
Pam Galloway.
Right. Little Pam.
Come show us how to color.
I know, paint by numbers. I'm good.
Little Pam who don't know how to paint. Who don't know how to do nothing. Don't know how to do nothing.
Yeah, she can come and show us.
Right. We can get if she needed help, we can get a book.
Yeah, because if she couldn't help us.
Yeah. So let's work on that.
Well, I already know you'll have a strategy.
Let's work on that.
You know I will. You know I will.
That's all I know.
For sure.
But I sure do appreciate you, Reverend Gulley.
I enjoyed you so much. Look,
I
so
love
very
that beautiful smile. I love that. I'm just saying that true to earth, down to earth. What do they call it?
Yeah. Okay, so what we can do is we can end the show, but y'all can keep talking because you ain't get off the line.
And
I know the dog up there pulling on me too.
No, all I gotta do is just stop the recording and the show will be over. But y'all can still talk.
All right, bye-bye, everybody.
You say goodbye. We got some stuff to talk about. See,
listen to all our people out here that were listening in. We appreciate you.
Yes, we do.
We're glad that after all this time, you still were around to welcome us back, and we're gonna do better.
Is this the first show back?
After we've been off about a month and a half, maybe 2 months. And
then you made me run over. My phone is ringing. Who's calling me? Which one of the saints calling me?
They trying to get the class started.
Exactly. They like, now that craft thing you talked about. When we gonna get that going?
When we gonna get that done?
That's right, what it is. There it is. I'm looking at the number. I'm trying to see how many people on live right now. I'm looking at the number up there. But yeah, so I mean, but we have shows like that every now and again where the show just go over. Just go over.
Okay. So it's not my fault. I won't have to feel bad about
completely.
Okay. Listen, now I'm tired of you pointing at my sister.
In the what's the name, and then when it finally get to me, I'll be like, oh yeah, should have did that. Stuff start to kick in.
And they just out here like, look at these, they just clowning.
The audience, audience, y'all be good out there. But you know what though? Isn't it good for the soul to clown every once in a while? I mean,
the word don't lie. It's medicine.
Every time we come on this show, we clown.
Yes, it's medicine. What we've been going through is medicine.
It's medicine. There's a lot of thumbs ups coming. So,
amen. It's good for the soul.
Right,
I mean,
right. Yeah. But I mean that was a good idea though, and really need to run that up the flag and see who saluted.
Yeah.
Or just like you say, we can just keep it to ourselves and.
Or you just do your own. Right? You ain't got to do it.
You're so busy.
You get your own little group together. You ain't got to run up there to do it.
You know what? I'm about to get off because I'm feeling scared over here because y'all just radical. No, I don't be trying to radicalize me. No. You know it don't take much. Don't be trying to radicalize me.
Watch it. You got a big old executive table behind you.
Listen, you better don't you do that. Don't you get me in trouble. No, sir. No, sir.
Oh, we love you. We love you. We love
you. I love you all too.
I love you.
All right, dog. Okay.
Tell Frank we said hey.
We will. He should have been in here to he and with us. Where is he?
There's my dog.
Sitting back there, saying, look at him in there, keying.
Right. Here's the question: what is today? Is there football on? College football is on.
Basketball is on.
He don't watch basketball like that anymore. Okay. But if college football is
I'm sure there's a football game on.
That's what he's doing. College football. Oh my goodness. You talking about how COVID impacted us when the college football people weren't playing? Yeah. I was gonna be running up and down the hallway with a football.
Okay. Look, have him chase you.
He was so sad. I was gonna do something. I was gonna be like something to entertain him. He was fit to be tied. I'm like, babe,
put you on a jersey and get a football
and just throw it up and down the hallway and kick it and go back and get it. Yeah, it was a mess.
Okay, watch it. Let me end the show and you keep on telling your little jokes.
Oh, no,
I ain't ended it.
Oh, I'm tired of it.
I love y'all. I'm gonna go.
Love you too. Thank you for being on there.
In trouble.
Take care.
You take care.